Time is now 7:44. Lawmakers are holding hearings about a flood that hit a Texas summer camp, killing 25 children and 3 adults. Yesterday on Monday, they learned that none of the young counselors at Camp Mystic were trained in what to do during severe weather.
So joining us now, we have our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. And Khalif, obviously a heartbreaking case to take a closer look at. But here in this case, it's time where it moves towards the blame and the who was responsible.
Yeah, this is a nightmare as a parent to listen to this scenario. I mean, I was thinking about it as I was rereading it for today, like how bad it was. You kind of forget as time passes, but yeah, 25 children died. I mean, and those counselors, the 2 of them that died, they were young as well. And then you had the owner that passed. And so a number of folks died in this scenario. And these hearings are looking backwards, trying to figure out, well, what could have happened, what was avoidable, what should have been done. And a lot of the hearings stressed about a failure to plan, a failure to even do the basic things that they could have done. One of the scenarios they talk about where the young children only needed to walk 20 steps. 20 steps would have taken them from the flood zone to a 2-story building that would have saved them. But because the counselors had no training to recognize that this is what we should do in the case of an emergency, specifically a flood emergency, then they didn't take the proper steps necessary. And so, yes, you mentioned blame. Yeah, there will be a number of folks blaming individuals because you have people that are bringing lawsuits right now against the camp. You have people that are bringing lawsuits against the state. You have people that are bringing lawsuits against anyone. And so there is a lot of finger pointing right now in this hearing. Hopefully will give closure to the family, but also give some accountability to figure out exactly what happened.
You know, these investigators are talking about this lack of what appears to be a lack of preparedness here. What kind of duty of care does a summer camp, an outdoor program for kids, when it comes to severe weather and preparedness, when you're a parent dropping your kid off, you expect a level of, they're going to be safe, I'm going to pick them up in a week.
Well, I say that all the time here, that we are very reactive with our laws. So I'll start with that portion. You see the exit signs at most of the buildings that you go to. That's from reacting to fires in buildings over the years and people not knowing where to go. And so legislatures on the federal level and the state level recognize, hey, we need to have laws in place to ensure that buildings have a standard so that when you walk in somewhere, you know how to get out. This camp is in the same scenario where after the fact, Texas lawmakers are now sending out letters to camps saying, look, we'll pull your funding, we'll pull your ability to hold a camp because you're failing to meet the minimum standards. So the standards were there in certain regards in terms of what the plans were required in terms of emergency, but the accountability to those plans, making sure that they were following the plans, training and making sure that your staff understood the plans. Some of the hearing talked about the owner knew the plan. He knew the weather. He recognized how to get out. Unfortunately, he passed as well, trying to get some of the younger folks out, but they also said no one else knew the plan. So that's that follow through with, okay, even if you have a plan in an emergency scenario, if everyone else doesn't know it, it's as good as not having a plan.
So which do you think is going to be the most impactful coming out of this hearing? The more insight that we get about what happened before the emergency, kind of a step-by-step of what happened during, or what's now happening after with Camp Mystic, other camps like it, or other Texas properties?
It depends on where you're at in the pecking order in terms of if you're attempting to bring a lawsuit against Camp Mystic. During this hearing, you'll learn more of how they work that hopefully will help you with your lawsuit for potential wrongful death claims that are already out there or pending, because there are a number of families that already have wrongful death claims. The biggest claim, I think, will be the gross negligence claim. So to prove the gross negligence factor, they can point to the failure to have a plan. And so when they discuss the plan, when they talk about how the plan was implemented, that process, it already happened a lot yesterday, but will happen even further. That will be telling for other lawsuits. And then for the third-party lawsuits, suing the state for failing to, supervise, failing licensing folks, for Jason's question, like who's monitoring these camps to ensure they're compliant. Those types of lawsuits, that will also come out here, and I think, that will help people depending on who you sue as well.
We've got a lot of nonprofits just in our viewing. In Charlotte alone, over 700. You broaden that to Boone all the way down to South Carolina. We got thousands, right? And a lot of those are kids camps. A lot of those are like horse therapy centers and farms. If you have any kind of organization that could be affected by any kind of emergency, a fire, weather, if you're watching this today, like what advice do you give them to go, we don't want anything to happen, but if you fail to plan, then there's that whole plan to fail thing, right? And you got to have everyone on board.
Yeah, I'd say that, first of all, if you're watching these types of things happen out and you own a nonprofit, it's plan, and prepare for the worst. And then if you're not doing this planning, then you can find yourself in scenarios where now you're in some type of congressional hearing, some type of lawsuit, or facing a wrongful death scenario. And the owner doesn't want to do that. No one wants to sit in those situations. So plan for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Khalif Rhodes, thank you so much for your take here on this topic.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.